There lived a man named John, his loving wife, Mary, and their two beautiful daughters, Emma and Grace. Emma was the older sister, always protective and caring towards Grace, who was younger and full of curiosity. The family was not so rich, but they were happy and comfortable. Mary was a kind and gentle woman, her smile as warm as the morning sun. John worked hard in the fields, growing corn and beans, and sold them at the town market to feed his family. Emma and Grace helped their mother with daily chores, fetching water from the river, tending to their small vegetable garden, and looking after the chickens. Life was going on well in the town until something terrible happened. One fateful day, Mary fell seriously ill. It started with a simple cough, but soon she became weak and bedridden. John and the girls did everything they could to help her. They brought help from the local healer, made her warm soups, and stood by her side, holding her hand and praying for her recovery. But despite their efforts and the healer's remedies, Mary's condition worsened. One quiet evening, as the sun set over the town, Mary took her last breath, surrounded by her family. Her passing was a devastating blow to John, Emma, and Grace. John was so heartbroken that he locked himself in his room for many days, unable to face the world without his beloved Mary. He couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, and couldn't find strength to care for his daughters. Emma, now thrust into the role of caretaker, tried to be strong for her sister. But she too was overwhelmed with grief. Grace missed her mother's gentle touch and soothing voice, and she cried every night, clutching Mary's shawl for comfort. Months passed, and the family tried to move on with their lives, though the pain of losing Mary still lingered in their hearts. John gradually returned to his daily routines, tending the fields and providing for his daughters. Emma took over many of her responsibilities, cooking and ensuring the household ran smoothly. Grace, though still young, did her best to help and stay strong. But then, strange things began to happen in their house. One morning, Emma woke up feeling very different. Her body ached, and she felt as if someone had been with her during the night. She was frightened because she had been alone in her room with the door locked. She didn't have any bad dreams, and there were no signs of an intruder. Confused and scared, she decided not to tell her sister or her father, hoping it was just a bad dream. Days turned into weeks, and one morning it happened again. And this time, Emma was very scared. She felt weak and confused, but still couldn't bring herself to tell anyone. Life went on, but Emma became more and more worried. She noticed that her father seemed distant, often lost in his thoughts. And Grace was too young to understand the torment Emma was experiencing. As the days passed, Emma's fear grew. She began to dread going to bed, terrified of what might happen during the night. She prayed for strength and courage, hoping to find answers to the mystery that haunted her. But despite her fears, Emma knew she had to stay strong for Grace's sake. She couldn't let her sister see how scared she was, even though her heart was heavy with dread. Emma sat on the edge of her bed, her mind racing. She felt weak and confused, but still couldn't bring herself to tell anyone. She was too scared to speak up, fearing that no one would believe her. She decided to go about her day as usual, trying to ignore the pain and fear. One night, Emma woke up in a cold sweat. The sensation was back stronger than ever. She felt as if more than one person had been with her. Panic gripped her heart, and she struggled to breathe. She knew she couldn't keep this to herself any longer, but she was terrified of what might happen if she spoke out. She didn't want to worry her sister or father, but she couldn't continue living in fear. One day, Emma woke up feeling extremely sick. Her body was weak and she couldn't stop vomiting. John, noticing her condition, decided to take her to the town hospital. The doctor examined Emma and delivered shocking news. Emma was pregnant. John was furious and demanded to know who was responsible for this. Emma, with tears streaming down her face, insisted that she didn't know, that she hadn't been with anyone. Grace, standing by her sister's side, was equally shocked and disappointed. John's anger boiled over and he yelled at Emma, demanding answers. But she kept crying, repeating that she didn't know how it happened. She didn't have a boyfriend and she had never been with anyone in that way. The doctor, seeing the distress of the family, suggested to take some time to process the news and offered to help in any way he could. Grace, though young, tried to comfort her sister. She couldn't understand how she could be pregnant if she hadn't been with anyone. The confusion and fear in Emma's eyes made Grace's heart ache. She wanted to believe her sister, but the situation was so strange and unbelievable. The sisters clung to each other, seeking solace in their shared pain. Now, days passed, and the atmosphere in the house grew tense. John couldn't look at Emma without anger and disappointment. She felt isolated and alone, and her father's anger weighed heavily on her. Grace, sensing her sister's despair, tried to be a source of comfort, but even she couldn't fully understand the depth of Emma's fear and confusion. The mystery of Emma's pregnancy hung over the family like a dark cloud. Emma knew she had to find a way to uncover the truth, but she was terrified of what she might discover. She decided to confide in Grace, hoping that together they could figure out what was happening. Emma explained everything that had been happening to her, and Grace listened intently, her eyes wide with fear and shock. The sisters realized that they needed to take action to protect themselves and find answers. They devised a plan to uncover the truth and bring an end to the nightmare that had consumed their lives. A few days later, Grace woke up feeling the same way Emma had described. She was terrified and confused, her body aching as if someone had been with her during the night. She ran straight to Emma's room, tears streaming down her face. "Emma, I feel the same way you did. What is happening to us?" she cried. Emma's heart sank. She pulled her sister into a comforting embrace, trying to soothe her while fighting back her own tears. "I'm sorry, Grace. I didn't know how to tell you. This has been happening to me too. We have to find out what is going on." The sisters set up hidden cameras in their rooms, hoping to catch the intruder. And when they finally reviewed their footage, their hearts shattered. It was their father, John, their beloved father. They discovered from the CCTV camera that their father always dragged them in their food before they go to bed and then have his way with them. And that's how Emma got pregnant. The sisters were shocked with the discovery. They never expected their own dad, their beloved dad, would do such a grievous thing to them. The sisters called the police and John was arrested. As he was being taken by the police, John explained that after their mother's death, he never fully recovered from the shock and he always yearned to be with the beloved. Therefore, that was his way to feel the presence of his lost wife. The girls were speechless that their own dad could do this as a way to feel the presence of his lost wife. They realized that their dad suffered from a mental breakdown and the best thing he could have done was to seek for therapy and not go down the route he took by sleeping with his own daughters. The community was shocked and the girls moved away to start a new life, leaning on each other for strength as they tried to heal from the unimaginable pain they had endured. Dear viewer, this is Light Folktales. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in our next story.